We're going to go ahead and get going here. We are now reconvened in open session. We will first consider action on closed session items. Mr. Rosenthal's not here, so should we?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Me.
Mrs. James?
I move that the Board of Trustees approve Courtney Mucius for the position of middle school principal.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. James and a second by Mrs. Tossan. Do we have discussion? Hearing none, please vote by show of hand. Motion passes. Mrs. Tossan?
Yes, Mr. Burdine. I move that the Board of Trustees approve Audrey Macklin for the position of elementary school principal.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Tossan and a second by Mr. Rice. Do we have discussion? Hearing none, please vote by show of hand. Motion passes. Next, we are going to review the revisions to local board policy. Mrs. James, did you want to introduce this first one?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. We have two policies on the agenda for this month. The first one is DEC, which is, I'm looking for my notes on it. This is compensation and benefits with leaves and absences. This is the one that we had given the superintendent authority for over part of it last year during the last school year, and with an intent to revise the policy. So we finished that work. And then basically it involves developing the sick leave bank in addition to the catastrophic leave bank for our employees.
Thank you, Mrs. James. Any questions or comments? Thank you very much for your hard work.
All right, we have another policy. I'll let Mr. Rosenthal introduce that one. That is EG local.
So this is the one that involves curriculum and instruction, curriculum development, and a big part of that is the balanced, unbiased curriculum and instruction. And so somebody approached me a few weeks ago talking about what had happened to their two students. And I explained the policy, and then as we talked, I realized there's really nothing in that policy where there's any kind of enforcement of that at all, or education to the parent to let them know how to resolve a situation where a student feels threatened or whatnot because of their views or because they're afraid to speak out. So we kind of put that in there, and it does discuss the grievance process that is within the policy now. So it does address that.
Yeah, and we beefed up the accountability in there also in terms of really making it clear the superintendent, the buck stops with the superintendent, but also as far as central administration and campus principals, campus administrators. So it's very clear what our intent is.
Thank you both very much for your hard work on that. Next, we will review previous meeting minutes. Thank you, Mrs. James. Any questions or comments? Moving along to 6B1, review changes to credit by exam for languages other than English. All right. Moving along to 6B2A, review the purchase of state assessment management system. 6B2B, review the purchase of ADVID annual membership and professional learning plan. Moving along to 6C1, review the approval of an interlocal agreement between Fort Bend ISD and Fort Bend County for lease of 2.587 acres to Fort Bend County and as a joint use agreement of the developed site. Mr. Rice? All right. Are you sure? All right. We're a little delirious here. We've been doing this for a few hours this evening, so just 4.5.
Mr. Birdie, and I would point out the next item is just a placeholder. There's no content in it for this evening, but we want to indicate to the board that it will be completely prepared for the board for next week.
That being 6D1,
Yes.
to be clear. Okay. Thank you, sir. Moving along to 6D2, review the committed fund balance resolution.
Yes, this one will also be, it's kind of a placeholder. It'll be built out for next week.
Right. Okay. 6D1 and 2 then.
Yes.
Excuse me. 6D3, review approval of an order authorizing the issuance of Fort Bend ISD unlimited tax school building and refunding bonds. Mrs. James.
I just wanted to check that this order is superseding some other orders, and I wasn't quite sure which one, were they ones we've done, and I don't know which ones they were.
We had originally, the board had authorized us to remarket the 2015 variable rate debt into variable rate debt again. What we want to do because of the market and the way it's situated, we want to put that into fixed.
Okay.
And take advantage of the market. And that's,
Okay, so it's the same money, it's just gonna be marketed in a different
same
way.
money. No, but we are asking for the ability to add new money to it. Okay, because of the market. And so we're thinking that we'll take it up to 100 million. Right now it's a 70 million that has to be remarketed on the variable rate side. So we're looking at 100 million, maybe 120. It just depends. But if the market is really great, maybe we could take it as high as 150, but it would be on the fixed rate basis. But the interest rate right now is, the rates out there are incredible.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rice?
So, Mr. Bassett, we're going for 150 fixed rate. We're going to remarket the variable rate to,
The variable rate would be part of that.
so we'll have some variable and some fixed.
Well, actually, so we're switching the variable rate into fixed.
Fixed because it's so low, the interest rates are so low.
Right,
Okay,
yeah. When it's just
And-
take advantage of the market there.
okay. And I always ask Mr. Frells and Mr. Villasenor if everything's in order. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Moving along to 6D4, review Medicaid Administrative Claiming MAC Program Contract. All right. 6D5, review approved purchase of small kitchen equipment and related items. Six D6, review approval of an interlocal agreement regarding participation in the Texas Smart Buy membership program. All right. 6D7, A, review the purchase of telephony equipment. All right. That's what was written down. 6-7B. I'm sorry, Mrs. James.
I don't have any questions about the telephony, but I do have a question about the next item.
Okay.
Mr. Mr. Breen,
Sorry.
shall I go ahead and ask my question?
Yes, yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
My question has to do with the evaluation of the bids on this item, because the ranking of the vendors that we saw was the top ranked vendor was not the vendor selected. So I was going to ask for an explanation of that, please.
Make sure the microphone's on.
So the first place, the vendor that ranked first place does not offer the robust system that we're looking for. It's much the same as what we already have. Second place did not provide the services during implementation that we would like. So it was determined that that probably was not our best value either. Third place provided the all-around best value. By the time we got to the second and third round of scoring, the price had been given a weight higher than the extent to which it meets our needs. And rather than change those weights and rescore, we didn't want to mess with the integrity of the system. I went back and looked at the extent to which it meets our needs and the quality of the product, and the highest vendor did end up being the third vendor on those two issues. So we are paying more, but we're getting our best value.
So we can do that even if it's a even if it's a proposal like that. I'm not exactly sure what the right language is, but I guess we can take whichever one we want.
I did run it past Kobe when he was here. This one's been out there for a little bit.
Oh, that is.
And asked him for his advice on what the best approach would be. Do we rebid? I felt like if we rebidded that item that we would end up with the same situation. We'd just simply be changing the scores for how we weight everything. So I didn't want to go through that whole process just to get the same results, just changing our weights. So he and I talked through it, and he felt like it'd be fine as long as we substantiated our recommendation.
Okay, I mean, that's fine, I guess.
Ms. Tossian.
I don't think Mr. Rice was next. Oh, no. Okay. So just so that I'm clear, so you're substantiating the recommendation on the basis that the third vendor, the first two vendors did not provide the quality of product that we require, nor did those products meet our needs at the level which we required.
Correct.
And so you, even though price was weighted higher and put those first two vendors above, you guys made the determination that meeting our needs versus price, meeting our needs should have been a higher priority. And will the first two vendors' products meet our needs?
They will do much the same of what our current system does.
And we're trying to
move forward and
move
progress.
to something different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Moving along, review 6.7C. Review the purchase of voluntary dental, vision, life, EAP, and short and long-term disability insurance plans.
I just have a quick question. When I read the brief, the letter, you stated that we already using United Healthcare. We already are we also doing any kind of teledoc as well?
Yes, we have virtual visits offered through United Healthcare.
Okay, I just want to make sure. That's
And just so you know, this coming year, we're planning on doing that on a zero copay basis. But that isn't finalized, but that'll be for the next year.
okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Moving along to 6.7D. Review the purchase of pre-sorting and postage mailing services. Right. 6.8. Review the 2019-2020 designated hazardous traffic conditions and adopt the designated hazardous traffic conditions resolution.
I would point out, Mr. President, that at your place this evening, there is an updated list of designated routes. We made one correction. There's an area of the Clements zone that includes the lakes and Meadow Lakes. And this, I think this only said the lakes, so we have corrected it to say the lakes and Meadow Lakes. So it'll be correct in the final agenda for next week.
Thank you, sir. 6-9, review approval of an easement for water facilities agreement between Fort Bend ISD and the city of Sugar Land for the relocation of a water meter located at Sugar Land Middle School. Moving along to 6-10A, review approval of Durotech Incorporated as construction manager at risk for High School 12. 6-10B, review approval of Pogue Construction as construction manager at risk for Elementary School 53. 6-10C, review approval of Satterfield and Pontykes Construction Company as construction manager at risk for Lakeview Elementary School. 6-10D, review approval of a construction services agreement with job order contractor Jamel and Smith Construction for the construction installment and construction installation of site signage. 6-10E, review approval of a construction services agreement with job order contractor Jamel and Smith Construction for the construction installation of fire alarms and fire sprinklers. Mrs. James.
I think this one also has a, part of it is with e-contractors for the building security package. So just, there's two parts of it. That's how I read it. But I don't.
Can we-
That is correct.
Okay, so there's a Jamel and Smith, and then there's an e-contractors part.
That is correct.
I think we just didn't pick that up in the agenda prep. We'll get that right next week.
6-10F, review the approval of a construction services agreement with job order contractor E-Contractors for the abatement and demolition at Meadows Elementary School.
I have a question.
Mr. Rosenthal.
Assuming that gets approved, Oscar, when will that work actually get started?
We are ready to get started. We've, since school was out, we've been going ahead and going through and salvaging everything in the building that is useful. We're finishing up with all of the door hardware except the exterior doors. Once we get this approved and a contract in hand, then we will start immediately at that point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. 6-10G, review approval of a construction services agreement with job order contractor J.R. Thomas Group for the construction installation of multi-campus architectural renovations. 6-10H, review approval of a construction services agreement with Lone Star Documentation LLC, DBA Multi Vista. In 6-10I, 1, review purchase of Senate Bill 639 compliant school buses. Next on our agenda are audience responses to agenda items posted for this meeting. Do we have Mr. John Fletcher here? Mr. Fletcher, if you would like to come up to the microphone, you will have 3 minutes. Mr. Rosenthal is going to keep time, and he'll give you a 30-second warning before your time is up.
Can I just say something before you start the clock, though? I want to thank you, all the teachers and all the staff, what y'all are doing and all of that. Our teachers do deserve to be paid even more. I mean, they should be the highest paid in the country. I do think that for what y'all doing and what the state is doing for those students. So I just wanted to say that before I start.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your support.
Okay, well, I just want to talk about some of the needs that the middle school students are going to have going into high school, coming from my area of Missouri City Middle School. There are going to be a lot of things they're going to need. We even looked at some of the meeting earlier about some of the budget cutting and some of the things that are going to be done. That may cut facilities and cut some of the things that you may have to do in all schools all over the district. So in saying in some of the needs that they have, I just encourage the Title I, if we were to get the Title I moving as fast as we can, we'll kind of compensate for some of the funds that may have to be cut from some of the schools to get some of the programs going. That will help the students. And as I sit around here looking at all of us, we were all middle school students at one time. Just think of yourself as a seventh grader in middle school, how you advocated for other kids who were less fortunate, how you stood up for other kids who may have needed some kind of help, or even help them with tutorials or working with them in their math. And now here you are today, sitting in a board making decisions and doing things to help those kids out. And I just want you to consider helping those kids who are going to be needing literacy programs, reading programs, things that the district is going to have to pay for, things that Title I can help compensate for, and all that, because with this new budget thing coming out, with this new thing with the teachers receiving the funds that they do need, that we would consider that for our students as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Orangey Jones. Thank you for being here, Mrs. Jones. You'll have 3 minutes. Mr. Rosenthal will give you a 30-second warning.
Thank you. I'm a regular participant, looks like. Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you all, and it's good seeing everyone again. Back on May 20th, there was a nice article in the Houston Chronicle. I don't know if you all got an opportunity to read it, highlighting Marshall High School. The article was on the front page of the Houston Chronicle, and there was a full page throughout the paper. I can't remember exactly, and it talked about some of the needs and strengths at Marshall High School. Just wanted to bring it to your attention and elaborate a little bit on that. The article focused on Marshall's strengths, and the one that I really want to talk about is Title I. Title I is something that we're really needing at our school, and with Title I, you may say, well, why is Title I? Title I will allow us some additional programs, and the school qualifies for Title I, and I'm sure the data is there. It came back showing what the scores are. And in the article, Dr. Dupree, you mentioned that you needed to poll the community. I might be speaking a little bit different, but I'm just summarizing for you. Poll the community. We've already did that. We did that by filling out the free lunch and reduced lunch application. So that's the data that you needed to determine whether or not we qualified for the services. And the community spoke up. Parents filled out the application. So now let's stop looking for excuses and stalling for us to have the resource that we're asking for. And that's basically it. I just want to make sure that we know we're still out here fighting for our Title I funding, and we don't want to take that off the table. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you being here this evening. We do not have any action items on our agenda this evening. May I have a motion to adjourn? Our meeting is adjourned.